This morning I presented a webinar topic of hormones and histamine and why women feel these effects so prominently. I wanted to share a little bit from that webinar with you now because Pepcid AC and PMDD are running rampant on my social media. And I think people are taking these medications without realizing that they're really just masking symptoms. They're not healing the root cause, and they're not understanding the negative impact that Pepcid causes their body, their GI, their hormones, everything. So histamine is not actually a bad thing. It's a good thing. It plays a major role in our biochemical pathways, but we get problems with it when we have too much and we can't clear it. A few of the major histamine symptoms are going to be anxiety, sleep disturbances, heart palpitations, headaches, flushing, skin rashes, and gastrointestinal difficulties. In fact, a lot of these symptoms get identified or clustered into hormone problems, and it's because histamine impacts our hormones, and our hormones impact histamine. It's a feedback loop. So estrogen stimulates the mast cells, and that causes those cells to release histamine. So the higher the level of estrogen, the higher the histamine amount that gets released. And where that loop is created is histamine causes estrogen activity to be increased as well, and then estrogen increases histamine dumping, and then histamine causes estrogenic activity. So as you can see, it is this really nasty loop, and Pepcid and Zyrtec or Allegra or whatever other antihistamines that you take are only masking part of the equation. It's not actually fixing it. And when we look at our menstrual cycle, around ovulation, we have a high peak in estrogen. And that's when a lot of people feel really bad PMDD symptoms. They also feel it in the luteal phase, which is that second half of our phase after ovulation, right before we start. There tends to be a lot of anxiety, like I said before, that freeze, rage, just everything is amplified because histamine causes us to be more aware. It kind of just amplifies everything. Okay, so now let's talk about breakdown. So when we talk about the clearing of histamine, DAO enzyme is involved in that, and that is in the gut. So if you have poor gut health, or you have leaky gut, or you have pathogenic species in your gut that generate histamine, first of all, you're never going to catch up with that, no matter how many antihistamines that you take. But the DAO is going to be negatively impacted as well. And then you factor in taking birth control. So how does birth control play into all of this? Birth control is known to cause nutrient depletion. Some of the nutrients that birth control depletes are the nutrients that are required for DAO enzyme to function. So if you've ever been on birth control and not repleted, your DAO enzyme is going to not be able to function. If you have pathogenic species in your gut, you are going to be generating histamine in your gut. In addition to, if you have a nervous system that is dysregulated, you are going to have over dumping and degranulation of mast cells along your nervous system nerve lines, all of which are not going to be healed and rectified with Pepcid. So Pepcid can actually really help manage symptoms, but it only blocks that signal. It doesn't fix why or where the histamine is coming from and why it's elevated in the first place. It is a temporary mask, but the longer that you take Pepcid, the more negative impact that it has on your stomach acid. And reducing stomach acid wreaks havoc on your health, making PMDD seem like a cakewalk in comparison, because you're talking about the inability to break down protein. So you are going to be protein deficient in your body because you can't break it down. You cannot assimilate nutrients, which means you are going to become even more nutrient deficient. And the worst of all is that you will no longer be able to protect yourself against pathogens that you are exposed to. So as you can see, that masking of those symptoms is not, the risk reward is not there. You need to be working on the root cause. If you need to take something to help with your symptom management short term and on an emergency basis, then that's another discussion. But taking these things your entire luteal phase is setting yourself up for a disaster, because the next step is the entire gut microbiome is reconstructed in a very negative way. The question you need to be asking is, why is histamine so out of control and elevated in the first place? And that's where you need to work. Not mask it, not cover it up, not a temporary fix, but why? Why is it elevated? Start tracking your symptoms. I definitely recommend just a cheap calendar. You can print something off from Google and align your symptoms with the cycle day that you're on and track it. I would also track your diet. Are you ingesting high histamine foods? Are you ingesting histamine liberating foods? Are you stressed out? Is your nervous system dysregulated? There are so many questions that need to be answered that Pepcid and Allegra and Zyrtec cannot answer. Your body is communicating with you and you are not listening to it. Those signals are a communication. It's telling you something. So listen and answer the question that your body is trying to ask and to tell you.